Hello there, welcome to Craft with Fee. Today we're going to be doing a little project which is going to be using up some of my vintage Tilda stash. So some of them are recent, sort of in the last year or two, some are a little bit older, but I think they all still go together beautifully. So we're going to be making a little mug mat, and I'm going to be actually killing two birds with one stone here. I'm actually going to be making this mat as part of my home swapped gift. So we have to make something that begins with each letter in the word home, and M for me is going to be for mat. So what you'll need to do to begin with is to choose 6 fabrics that coordinate with one another in some way, and I have gone ahead and already cut mine. So let me show you what we have here. So we have 6 little pieces. Each one of these is 6 inches in length by 2 inches in width. Okay, and so we will arrange those in a moment. You will also need a piece of background fabric, and I decided that this chambray here went with them. It needs to go with the fabrics on the front, so you need to remember that. So I thought that these look pretty okay together. So this one is the Tilda Chambray Lavender. It's so gorgeous, it's so pretty. Now you need to cut that to measure 7.5 inches by 11 inches. Okay. And then you're going to need a piece of scrap wadding. Now this is a piece that I have cut off the edge of a quilt. It's just, I always keep my scraps because they're so handy. And so I've just cut this piece here to measure 6 inches by 9.5. And so what you need to do is to lay it onto the wrong side of your backing fabric. And we're just going to center it just to make sure that we've got the same sort of area around the outside. And we're going to do this in the quilt as you go method, and we're going to do a self-binding, so it's going to be a really super easy project. So we need to decide at this point which order we're going to be laying down our strips. So I did have these laid out earlier, and I thought that I had them in a pleasing sort of manner. Let me try to remember. Yeah, okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. So what we're going to do to begin with is we're going to take the first 2 that are going to be living together, and we're going to lay the first piece directly down onto the wadding so that it is exactly on the edge, and you'll see that it fits perfectly. We will then grab, excuse me, I've just knocked one of my glass bits here on the table. We're going to grab a pin, and we're just going to pin it over towards the left-hand side, just so that it doesn't move. We want it perfectly there on that edge. Okay. Right. Then we're going to grab the strip that we're going to sew on next, and we're going to lay that directly on top. And then we are going to take it over to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew it all the way down here through all layers using 1/4 inch seam there. So what we're going to do though is start just back from the edge of that wadding. We're not going to start right on the edge, we're going to start just back from the edge. And then when we get down to the bottom here, we're going to stop just before the edge. Make sure you do a locking stitch at the start and at the end as well. I'll go and do that on the machine and we'll come back. Okay, there we go. So I have sewn all the way along there. And you'll see on the back side here that we now have our stitching all the way through. So we can go ahead and remove these pins because we don't need to keep that piece in place now because it's already there. And what we can do is then open out this piece and then take it over to the ironing board and give it a good press. Okay, so now we're ready to put down the next piece. So we're going to lay the next piece down there on top of the piece that we just sewn down, and then we are going to do the same thing. We're going to stitch down there with a 1/4 inch seam, and then once it's sewn we're going to open it out, iron it, and then we'll keep going until we get to the end. And there we go, they're all sewn on. Now you will notice that down the bottom my pieces of fabric have moved a little and stretched, and they now do not meet. So what we can do with that is we're going to actually fold back the backing fabric like so, and then we are just going to take the ruler and we're just going to straighten up those pieces on the bottom there. So it's only a teeny tiny bit, as you can see there, so it's not a lot, but by straightening it up, everything looks fantastic again. Okay, so now we're going to go back over to that ironing board and we are going to iron our outside fabric all the way around. We're going to fold it in so that it meets the edge of our little mat. Okay. Okay, now it is going to look like this, and it's not going to be neat and tidy at this point, but you have actually got your nice crease there from the iron. And on the ends here, we've just folded them over so that it looks like this. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab some clips, and now we are just going to clip this all the way around. So we're going to fold it over to the front like that, so then we have a nice neat edge. And it looks very neat and tidy. So the measurements have allowed us to have this super cute little binding. So this is what we call a front binding. Well, it's what I call a front binding. Let me just grab the scissors. The chambray does tend to lose its little bits of white sometimes, so I just usually just cut them off as I go. But it's completely worth it because the chambray is gorgeous, and as I said, it goes with a lot of the other ranges, as you can see. So when you get to the corner, you're just going to fold it over like you would any type of corner. So it's just like that. So we're not doing it on the bias or on the angle, we're just doing it straight as a right angled corner. And the reason we're doing that is because this is a beginner's project and I don't want to complicate issues for you. So you will just be able to do that. So we're going to do this around all four sides, and then we're going to take it over to the sewing machine and we're just going to top sew it. And then we'll come back and show you what it looks like. And there you go, all the binding is now sewn down. You can see on the back that it's nice and neat, it's been quilted. It's just a nice, simple little piece. It's a great way to get you used to quilt as you go. There will be a project coming up in July, which is going to be a quilt as you go project. So this is a great starter piece for you. And it's super easy, made from scraps. So I hope that you've enjoyed today's little tutorial. If you do finish one of these little mug mats, don't forget to pop yours into the group. I'd love to see what you do with it. And until then, I'll see you later. Bye.